Welcome to ComeonyespursTV. Sorry, welcome to ComeonyespursTV. Like I said, we are live and we are reviewing the match between Tottenham and Villa. Took place at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We had a bit of technical glitch earlier on, so we've had sort a few things out at the back end. Hopefully, things work out a lot better now. Joining me today is Chuma. We'll have him over in just a minute. In the meantime, come on, you Spurs. Welcome back, everyone. Come on, you Sports TV Nation. We're back. We had a bit of, like I said earlier, technical glitch, but we're back live now. Honestly, today has been just one of those days that you almost under a rock and not come out for days, you know. And yeah, I mean, Tottenham nil, Villa 2. Where do we even begin to do this post mortem? I mean, haven't seen us play this bad in a very, very long time. I'm the eternal optimist, like everyone knows me. I mean, super positive, and but it's very, very difficult to find positive from this match. I don't know how you want to sort of where do you want to start? Chuma, welcome to the program. How are you? First things first.
Oh, I'm
Yeah, first.
happy New Year, first of all. Happy New Year to you, Soji. Happy New Year to Common You Spurs Nation and family and supporters and people who tune in, subscribe, people who are viewing now live as well. Happy New Year to you. I hope your year continues to grow from strength to strength. I wish the same for Tottenham as well. Tottenham Hotspur started the new year in a very, very bad fashion, but uh, I don't know. I think the downer began with the lineup. As soon as I saw the lineup, I already started having a queasy stomach. So
Yeah, well,
it
so
began no Kulusevski,
yeah,
no Kulusevski, and
so
that was it for me.
does that mean because we don't have one player, the whole team just more or less like crumbles? You know, because if you look at the lineup, okay, uh, I think a few changes came about. If you look at, okay, we had the back line, Longley in the middle, Diana playing, and we had Davis on the left, and Romero coming in. That's the first time they played together. So, I mean, does that have an effect on the balance of the team? Because if you look at the first half, all right, so they didn't really threaten us. I mean, okay, but we didn't actually have any bite either up front. So I'm not sure if that had any effect on the way that we played as such. I mean, all right, we didn't concede, but neither were we that enterprising in the attack. Okay, we had Brian Hill. I mean, coming up um, as replacement for Kulishevsky, and that changed in the back line. Of, I mean, obviously because we had Tanganga out, and then we they took up Dyer as well. But did it affect our balance that much, if you like? I mean, what do you think?
Well, for me, in terms of defensively, I wasn't really. I've never really been worried about Spurs. Like I won't say I've been worried Spurs defensively. It's that I've always said this, and I keep saying this all the time. With all the football I've watched in my life, I always say midfield is everything. And if your midfielders are top notch on point, your defense won't get worried as much, and your attack has enough to feed on. And I'll be very honest. He's played well in some games, not done well in others. Um, but something has broken in Yves Bissouma because Bissouma coming to Spurs from Brighton. I mean, I've watched him for the last couple of years in Brighton, and he's been a diamond in the rough. He's been a very good player, box to box guy. He comes to Spurs, and then Antonio Conte starts this whole thing of, oh, he has to learn my ways and all that. And I'm sorry, but the ways are they've completely nobbled the guy. The guy isn't what he was. And they say, okay, yes, it's his first year in Spurs. He's gonna no, but I'm sorry. I think in any other team, first season, this guy he hits the ground running because he's played Premier League football. But I think he doubts himself. He's double thinking himself to still stay within system formation or whatever. Pierre Emil Hoiberg, I like, but it's a Marmite thing. Sometimes he's really great and efficient, sometimes not, or maybe he needs more numbers. And I was reading this thing online where this guy just said, look, the back three formation isn't working anymore. Either it's been sussed out or the players are not, they can't do it. And if you look at all the players that played well in the World Cup that have come back, all of them played in teams that played back fours and had like three midfielders and three attackers, 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 variations. They've been playing it and they played better. This three thing, at the moment, Spurs need more in midfield. They don't have any creativity. But even if you had creative players, because you're playing two, you're having to do so much work, you know. And I take nothing away from Villa. I think um, if Spurs play reactive football, Unai Emery is the godfather of knowing how to play reactive football to counter attack. He's probably one of the best in the game, and his management of that game was fantastic.
Well, that's a very, very good point. Someone said I will Conte be at Spurs at the end of January. Do you do you think he will work? That's so what someone has come up with. I mean, what do you reckon?
Well, I saw this amazing theory online. I literally saw it this morning. Someone said this is his chronological order. What's going to happen? He goes, Spurs lose against Villa. Some young guy put it up. Spurs lose against Villa. Um, Daniel Levy does not back Conte in January. Conte walks away mutually in February. Pochettino takes over in February. Pochettino manages to get top four in the summer, and then the merry-go-round begins again. and, and and I thought it was funny. I honestly, I thought it was so funny because I said
I,
in my head,
I saw
like,
that
it
too.
sounds so far-fetched.
Yeah, I saw that earlier on as well. I thought to myself, that's interesting. I mean, someone doing a Nostradamus here.
No, yeah, it sounds crazy. Pochettino is flitting between London and Barcelona in his homes, and he's waiting for an opportunity from
It's
Spurs.
an interesting.
It's hard,
Will
and
he walk? I mean, and it's what do you think?
you know what? With my heart, I'm a Pochettino guy from like day dot, from when he was at Southampton. I wanted him to come to Spurs. He came to Spurs. I wanted him to do well at Spurs. He did well at Spurs. He wasn't backed by this chairman and the board. But I'll be honest, like, I'm now completely in Zeus's camp now. I'm in Zeus's camp. Zeus has convinced me to join the mountain of the gods, and I want ENIC out. I think I want the Qataris in. Whoever has the sugar money should come and buy Spurs as quickly as possible. We can wipe out this season and know that we're going to spend mega bucks next year, and be it with Conte or not. But I don't know. I think January is going to be huge. If God forbid, if Conte doesn't walk away this week, then I think, and he stays till January and he sees what the transfer window is, he could walk away in February. So I think between now and February, we're all on tenterhooks as to what this man is going to do. And that determines a lot. I wouldn't say I blame him for a lot of things, but honestly, where does the coach get his own blame as well? Like, yes, ENIC are horrible, and they've done what they've done to our club for the last 20 years.
Yeah, but
They've spent at the wrong times,
yeah,
spent on the wrong players. But
okay,
where does he get blamed? Because the game started poorly.
okay. So
Sorry,
I
go
mean,
ahead.
let's just sort of okay. You have all sorts of views when it comes to the situation we're in now in terms of, okay, we've got this elite manager, right? Elite managers in quotes want to spend plenty of money, right? And most people who are elite managers didn't get there by just playing good football. They had very good players to play their system with, right? So that's one perspective. The other perspective is that, all right, so you're an elite manager not just on the basis of your ability to spend money when you have to spend money, but also you have to have you become an elite manager by being able to um, how do I put this delicately? Get the very best out of players. Whatever situation you're giving yourself. I mean, someone like what's this young man's name in Eddie Howe, who's managing Newcastle at the moment, right? Okay, he's not an elite manager, but he seems to be doing something quite well. Okay, it's early days yet. I mean, he's only won a third of the season into it, but I mean, for what he's doing with Newcastle, you think to yourself, quite interesting. I mean, he doesn't have star players, but he's seeming to get some good work out of them in terms of work ethic, in terms of application, in terms of they're being able to stay in games. We're not seeing that as a lot as we would like to see with Tottenham, and it's very easy to be critical when your team is not winning, But at the same time, you try and say, hang on, are we really getting the best out of these lads? With what we've got. I mean, what do you think?
Well, another part of the argument is Spurs have had players that should have been moved on years ago. Um, we all know for a fact, okay, a lot of people don't like Ben Davies. I think Ben Davies is a squad player, but he's a very good squad player. He's one of those guys that's dependable. But Eric Dyer, I know for a fact that Pochettino wanted to get rid of Eric Dyer. Want to get rid of Eric Dyer, want to get rid of Ericsson, and there were quite a few players he wanted to move on and get replacements for, and he wasn't backed doing that. And now we're in a situation where um, there's some people who stayed on in the club that shouldn't have stayed on, in the opinion of many. Um, and regardless of what Conte proved that he could coach last season by taking Spurs into the Champions League when we just, we'd had a horrible, horrible, horrible start with Nuno last year. And he proved it and he took us into the Champions League. And I think everyone thought, okay, this is the miracle working guy. But that was a one off, like, not like a one off in a bad way, but like he had to do that. That was to prove his credentials, and now you're meant to reward him by giving him what he wants. And we did buy some good players. We got Bissouma, yes, fair enough. I thought people like Spence and the rest were good additions that came in. They weren't elite, and now we look at the transfer window, we feel that we had a very poor transfer window. If you look at it in terms of like what the results are. He wanted elite. We did try for Bastoni, we tried for all these people, but it doesn't happen. It really didn't happen for Spurs. And, you could say it's a lot of things. Spurs aren't throwing money at people. And we've talked about the lack of creativity for years now at Spurs, that Ericsson was the glue guy for so long. And when Ericsson left, or Ericsson even started dwindling in form, you could tell Spurs were changing, and Spurs needed to get 2 or 3 people like him in the squad. And they never have, and they still haven't. And Conte's football doesn't rely on it, but at the same time, Harry Kane is a goal scorer. I know he can come deep into midfield and do all that stuff, but the guy, he thrives off chances created, and no one's creating chances for him from midfield. No one's creating it from out wide. Conte plays a wing back system. The wing backs aren't putting any balls in like that. Perisic was good today. He wasn't great. He missed an opportunity. I think he had a lot more time to think of how to get that shot on target when he had his chance. Harry Kane had a header that Ashley Young did very, very well to nod away
Yeah,
and all that.
fine.
But when that first half, I think Spurs had like 2 shots on goal, 1 on target, or three on goal, 2 on target, something like that. Both sides didn't really have a lot of luck in the in the front third of the attack. They didn't have that much luck, and then I actually said it on the group, I think, on the Nigerian Tottenham group. I said, well, at least we're going into halftime without conceding a goal. Little did I know that was probably like, as a prelude to disaster. And we went in not conceding and came out, and it was an unforced error yet again. And this was Hugo Lloris. It was an
Right. So
unforced error
let's
that
come
led
on
to the
let's
goal.
come on to Hugo in a few minutes. I mean, okay, so we have a squad which on paper, when at the beginning of the season, looked good, right? But we've had a lot
Yes.
of injuries. I mean, lately, which sort of seem to have decimated the balance of the side. I mean, we lost Bentancur to injury, Richarlison to injury, and suddenly we seem to have no options in attack. I mean, if you think about it, Kane goes off, Son goes off. What's left? Brown Hill. Come on. I mean, he's had his opportunity today. I mean, and it showed very, very clearly that he just wasn't up to scratch. I mean, so that tells us that we really need to spend money in this transfer window to beef off whatever we got in that squad, because the squad is just not adequate from all intents and purposes. I mean, I mean, granted, we lost players, but when you lose players, you need to have people, I mean, who can come in and replace those players. That's what top teams do, and we just don't seem to have that at the moment. Someone says the problem we have at Spurs is that we have the vision. What we want is what the. Hang on, let's have a look. This is where my glasses need to come on. What we want what do we want to be? The most we are primed for is being a team that finishes fourth and wins nothing. That's a fantastic point of view. What do you think? I mean, let's have a look. This is what I think Gracie is saying. I mean, come on, planning for the future. What's that? That's what he's saying. What do you think?
Well, I'll go back to what you said in the preview. For those who haven't seen that, if you could go back on Common News Spurs TV on YouTube and watch the preview to this game, and one of our co-commentators pointed out that that if you're not investing, football is a money game now. In fact, we've known it's been a money game for years now, and you just need to throw money at it. And it's not throw money that you want to come out in profit. You might end up in deficit, but it doesn't make business sense to a business. And we can call Daniel Levy's name all we want, but Daniel Levy represents a firm called ENIC, and ENIC are a business. And ENIC run their football clubs. Spurs was not the first. They actually had Rangers for a while, Glasgow Rangers as well. And one of Glasgow Rangers directors issued a warning to Spurs in 2000 when these guys were taking over that there's something about them. They don't want, they're not football lovers. They're here for the money. They're here for profit. And I think ENIC have made a lot of money, and the investors and the board have made a lot of money from Spurs. And right now, the model has changed in football, and I think for me, their time is up. I would very much like them to sell the club to someone who has deeper pockets to support. Yeah, because if not, that's all we're going to do is we're not giving ourselves a clear chance at ever going for a title. I mean, today was the final death knell in any kind of title. If we even had any kind of title illusion, that was gone today. Today's over. It's completely over today because you're now looking at 16 points behind Arsenal. Arsenal win their next game against Newcastle. And then they move on to North London derby where they come to our home, and God forbid it could lead to a really startling result. But
Right. So
yeah,
is this is this
it's a
is this
shambles
this is a turning
from the
point?
top.
So let me ask this question. So is this a turning point for good, or a turning point for negativity? Let me explain what I mean by that. Right. So here we are.
Yeah,
We're what a point of fourth place. We haven't played that great. We haven't played that great in a very long time. We've been really, really poor. I mean, in a lot of matches up to now. But might grind out results, and that is from having a near enough what I call balanced team. So when that balance gets taken out in terms of when you have people like Bentancur who have been playing really well, missing. Um, okay, okay. Some said okay, fine. In today's match, he didn't really make that many changes. I mean, when he had to make a change, the changes didn't come until like the 80th minute of the match. But if you have a look at what he had available to him, what could he realistically have done?
well, you're asking if this today's a turning. I ranted for the first like 20-30 minutes after the game. I've been on every group I'm on, every football group, and I literally just let loose, and I was very angry. I was like, Enoch out, I was Conte out. I found the football very dreary. It's been turgid. It's the same kind of way I felt under Mourinho. I felt it today. The football to me was turgid. They were backwards and back, sideways and back, and I was really frustrated. But then when I stopped, I said, look, I look at something called the hero's journey in literature, where you find a hero, the hero, finds out he has got powers or no powers, or he finds a purpose. He now sets off good in the first start. And in the second act, the hero falls, the bad guy wins. And then in the third act, he has to overcome that. Last season looked like our hero's journey began. And this season it's the Empire Strikes Back in Star Wars in so many different ways. And to have our neighbors down the road, the Seven Sisters at the top, playing well. They're not really. I don't really see them doing anything really outstanding. They're just doing things well, and they're winning and they're topping the league. And Spurs, but we're looking at ourselves. We're not even looking at them. Just looking at ourselves. We're imploding, and we don't know what's going on. But from the start of the season, it's been the same thing. It's been that conceding a goal, going behind, stay back, then attack in the second half. But what most people didn't realize was Bentancur was part of the fuel to drive the second half charge. Bentancur wasn't there today. Kulusevski is a drive in moving guys forward. He wasn't there today. And because of that, he really had no one on the bench. Even playing, like, at least back in the day, we had Lucas to come on. Lucas would have played instead of Brian Hill. There was no Lucas, and we were completely bereft of any quality. But even that notwithstanding, I just felt the start of the game, Spurs came out slow. Spurs came out defensive, and they were weak. And Villa just came. Ollie Watkins had that chance early on where he came in on his right foot and he dragged it wide. But that was a warning shot. That was him saying, "I can get into your defense. I can get behind you." And that is set up. That is coaching. This first half thing has always been coaching for me, and it's
Right.
yeah,
So for
it's
me,
just
I
been.
mean,
But I think it's a turning point for good.
yeah, it's an opportunity. I mean, if you like, because if you think about it, right, we had Kane, we had Son, so I mean, we still had people who could nick goals and create
Yeah,
opportunities, but we just didn't seem to. I mean, either get the balls to them, and when they had the balls, they didn't really do much with it. I mean, for Son, I'm not sure Son actually played anything of any significant parts in the match today. I mean, part of it was summed up when he had to throw away his his mask at some points. I don't know. That just summed up his frustration. And at some point, I think towards the end of the match, there was a key. I mean, we got into a very promising position, and he just gave the ball away. I think the ball went off to. Went off out of play, and that just sort of summed up the way we just played today's match. Very frustrating on many levels. So I don't know what next. What
yeah.
next?
We we've had a really bad time of it. At least we were getting the results pre-World Cup. After the World Cup, it's been kind of. I think after that Nottingham Forest defeat in the League Cup, it's been kind of awful. And I don't know if it's the environment. I don't know if it's the coaching setup. I don't know what it is. Something's happening that is really not right. And there's a chicken and an egg situation at the moment where Daniel Levy wants Conte to, he wants him to sign a new contract. Conte saying, "I want to see what you're going to do before I sign my contract." And there's a sort of, Texan standoff at the moment, and you can see it from both sides. Unless you show me your ambition, why should I sign? But at the same time, say, dude, unless you sign, why would I spend my money?
Right. So
And
yes,
therein lies the issue Spurs are having.
yeah. So I don't know. So here we are. I mean, there's some discussion going on about. I mean, not just Mr. Levy. You also have players who the contracts will probably come up for extension or renewal very very soon. I mean, and then you think to yourself, do you want to renew someone like Dyer's contract? I mean, is that a good business? Is that good business? Okay, on the one hand, it's been I mean, dependable servant for the club. I mean, for God knows how long. I think he's been there for almost 8 9 years now.
He's been there since 2014, 8 years now.
Yeah, so
No, 9 years this year
yeah,
in the
so
summer.
I think you just sort of you say to yourself, do you if he's available and he's willing to sign a contract, do you extend his contract? You know, and do play the emotional card if you like for having been there for so long and been. I mean, it's been good for the club. Okay, granted, he's made a few mistakes along the way, but I mean, but then again, you also say, does that does that say, does that sort of tell us the sort of ambition you want the club to have? There are some people who consider that to be a fantastic player. Some people who say he's absolute tosh. I'm in the middle somewhere because I think there are times when he's made bad errors, but overall, I think he's been very dependable. I think this season in particular. I mean, I think last season he played really, really well last season. Okay, he had a couple of errors so far this season, but I wouldn't completely write him off, to be honest. I think he's a good player. What do you think?
Eric Dyer, I've liked since he arrived at the club. He played right back. Then Poch converted him to a. I still see him as a defensive midfield player, in my opinion. If he played under any other manager, I don't think they would have played him in defense. Even though he wants to play in defense, I don't know why. However, last season he played very, very well. This season it's just not working for so many players at the same time. Last season we were purring about Son. This season nothing is dropping for Son, and it's one of those things that happens in sports. If I have to be honest, I'll say it's one of those things that happens in sports. It's like the system worked very well last year, very well. Like at least what I'm saying from January downwards, it worked very, very well. Was it the lack of games? We're not in Europe at the time. We'd been knocked out of several cups, so there was a lot of time to work and then come and play. I don't know what it was, but it worked very, very well. And in my opinion, I think it was sussed out. And that's where a coach changes what he does, even though he doesn't have the tools for some major upgrade. He can do something like, you know, I wouldn't see Pep Guardiola stay with the same system all the way through or the same application of his system if he finds out that it's not really working. He just has to change something. And we are still playing the same way. We predict, sorry, I
Sorry.
say we predict our lineup every time perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. So
Imagine that.
I was also going to say that, keep your comments coming. Gracie say that we're playing a system that doesn't fit the players we have. Conte is not to blame. Um, sorry, Conte is not blame free. Name me a player he has coached and made better. So that's a question for you. I think, okay, so we just.
Oh no, So yeah. No. So for me, Kulusevski was a very good player at Parma. He was written off at Juventus. He's come to Conte's system and he looks like an amazing player. I'm not saying Conte coached him to be better. He's always a good player, but Bentancur never really moved forward in Juventus. Even when he played at Boca Juniors, I watched him at both clubs. He never really moved as forward as he has under Conte. So it's it's just that we're going through a very, very bad run, and you could really lose. Like, we know what the problems at Spurs are from the top, but we can't change the top. We can't even change the team even if we wanted to as fans. But honestly, I just see a situation where February will know where we stand in February. Either Conte has walked away or he has recommitted himself and he's turned these guys, or these guys turned their form around. I think losing at home, all this time we've been spared losing at home. We've drawn, we haven't really lost. I think we lost to Newcastle. There was a sort of resurgence after that. But this particular defeat, I think, is huge. It's huge. They were singing "Leave out, leave our club" in the South Stand. The Enoch out has gotten new energy. Today I think is a huge turning point in Spurs. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think it's huge.
I,
I think
I,
it's going to be very huge.
yeah, I kind of thought to myself that if we lost today to Villa, it would sort of have the knives coming out for everyone. And part of the preview for this match was that is it the players? Is it Conte? Is it the board? Is it Levi? What is to blame? Where we find ourselves? I mean, and what's the solution? Is this a short term issue based on our form, or is there something really, really fundamental broken in the system? So it's one of these things whereby, um, how do you deal with this? Do you buy players in January to sort of boost it? I mean, sort of show up the team, or do you just have a wholesale clear out? I think. I mean, if you ask me, I think um, we probably need a couple. I mean, two more players up front. They probably need. I mean, a couple more centre backs and two more players in midfield. So 6 players in total. So if I had to clear out anybody now, who would you clear out, and where would you start?
Um, I would let Tanganga and Davison Sanchez go.
Okay.
Um, my hope and prayer is we could get someone like Stefan de Vrij, the Dutch central defender for Inter that played on our continent. If we can get someone like him to come and play in the middle, there's the young man from is it Ecuador? I think it's Ecuador. Hincape. He plays in Leverkusen. He plays left side. Because the person I would have loved to come to Spurs is joining Chelsea at the moment. Benoit Badiashile, the left-sided centre back from Monaco. He's joining Chelsea in the next couple of weeks. So if we can get another left-sided centre back, and we can get Stefan de Vrij to play right, it negates the whole thing. I've been pushing for. He said we were going to get to Hugo Lloris. The biggest mistake Spurs I think made was we never signed rivals for Hugo Lloris, not deputies, but a rival, someone who would have come in. And I said this years ago. I said this a couple of years ago that Harry Kane and Hugo Lloris needed people who were killers come behind them to make them stay on their game. And Hugo Lloris has, I think, he served the club well. However, we can't escape his numerous mistakes, his lapses of concentration, his his poor distribution with his feet. And today we saw another prime example, and it cost us. And it really cost us. And if he had a rival, if you said you had Jordan Pickford and Hugo Lloris fighting for the #1 spot at Spurs, and I'm not saying Pickford is better, but I'm just saying that kind of caliber of goalkeeper, the Newcastle goalkeeper who was at Stoke, that was one of those players I wanted to come to Spurs because that guy, he would want to get the shirt, and Hugo would want to stop him. However, Hugo knows he's #1 at Spurs. He knows Fraser Foster is never going to dislodge him. Harry Kane knows he's #1 at Spurs. He will never get dislodged. He's a legend now. So Spurs have had that problem, and for me, it's really costing. When you say get rid of, I would move that along. I would move Emerson. I would honestly even consider like, I would honestly consider even moving someone like Sessignon along as well. Like there are quite a few players. I just think now it's like, okay, if we're really going for something, we have to cut loose. We're not going to be you're not going to be a trial and error club. You know, Zeus made the comment before, you have an elite manager, but you're not giving him elite players. So what was the point? And I asked the question, why would he and Mourinho sign up? But of course, the wages are amazing. If you're going to get guaranteed those wages, you'd rather than not take those wages. But it's still a dent to your reputation.
So well, this is it. So it's this old chestnuts of book balancing. Can we really afford the player that you mentioned? One, not just because of the transfer fee, but also because of the wage structure that we have in the club at the moment. Are those players willing to come and at those wages? And are we willing to pay the wages that will attract those players in our current structure? So it's this really delicate balancing act. And is it that we have the money and we're not spending it, or we just don't have the money and we're just like what you might call, in quote, pretenders, if you like, Because as fans, as football fans, I mean, people want results. They're not prepared to wait, you know. Whether or not you have the money, they just say, "Oh, spend the money, spend the money." Like money's going to come from like some sort of magical tree in the forest somewhere. I mean, where's it going to come from?
So that's why you have to temper your expectations. Like I said, I went on this crazy free rant, but I look at the people I'm ranting to. They are Liverpool fans, they are Man United fans, they are Man City fans, they are Chelsea fans, and the kind of money they spend is, to me, it's crazy. But it's actually the kind of money you need to spend to be able to do what those teams have done in the last 5 to 10 years. Spurs do not spend that money. Spurs do not have the money. Like, the argument of even leaving White Hart Lane was, to me, was a huge argument. You know, I was, I was always of the opinion that I'd rather have stayed at the lane and given Pochettino money to buy players that he wanted, Intibala, whoever he needed that could have made the team better. And then you go about creating your stadium when you've won something. And it was a matter of time for something if they could have backed him. However, they didn't back him. And and we're where we are now. So yeah, it's just tired. We're just tired as fans, honestly.
it's one of these things where you either spend the money, buy the bullets, or just keep doing what you're doing, and of course risk the wrath of fans. And when fans gets really frustrated the way they are now, you think, what next?
The fans are still going to keep coming to the stadium. So unless there's ever a game or a couple of games where there's zero fans, which will never happen, the club can do whatever they choose to. The owners can do whatever they choose to. And, for me, it's not rocket science with Spurs. There are things that Spurs could have done to get better. Um, People always say this to me. Lots of friends of mine say, "Look, Spurs can just win something. They could win the League Cup, the FA Cup. It would change the entire dynamic of your club." Was that a missed opportunity under Mourinho? We will never know. Was that us going out in the League Cup this season? I actually did not like that. I did not like losing to Nottingham Forest in that League Cup. I thought this was an opportunity to get yourself a nice, easy trophy or cheap enough trophy. And I think Antonio Conte fluffed that. That was on his door. You know, in terms of players, we thought we had enough. Like getting Richarlison was good. I always felt we needed one more player because Richarlison for me was Son's replacement or Son's substitute again. We needed another one for Kulusevski. We didn't get that. And you're now seeing how we're paying the price. Kulusevski's out. You're now putting Brian Hill, who, I wrote somewhere the other day that in hindsight, I would have kept Eric Lamela. I would have kept Eric Lamela. And, you know, barring his injury problems and the fact he never turned into this world class killer player, Eric Lamela was, to me, he had the grit for the Premier League. And to me, he should never have left Spurs. He should have just stayed, honestly.
Well, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Right?
It is, it is, it is, it is, it is, it is.
Passing the match between Tottenham and Villa. But they are the office, sack the board.
But Villa played well. Let's not take anything from Villa. Villa did their jobs very well. Their job was to contain, and if you have the opportunity to break and score, and they did that twice. The second goal, especially the through pass from John McGinn, who was linked to Spurs at a time. John McGinn's through ball to Luiz was, it was a beautiful pass, and Luiz with the outside of the foot finish. That was a clear goal, and that was a very, very good goal. And I will take nothing away from Unai Emery. He is very, very good tactically, and he put his team out to do a job, draw or at least win. And they drew first half, and second half they got the win, and I give them a lot of credit. Spurs played very poorly, very, very poorly. It's like, how bad it was. We're all debating who can you say you can rate in that, and I can't think of anyone that I can say for any period of time he looked like our go getter. I can't name one player in that game that I can say. Christian Romero was also very, very lucky. He was a lucky boy today. His timing for tackles, his forcefulness was not good.
Let me ask this question. So okay. The officiating, and I'm not making excuses here, right? You had 3 yellow cards in the first half. I think of them, I didn't think they should have been yellow cards. First of all, okay, Romero went in hard on the Villa player, but he got the ball clean. I don't even think that was anywhere near yellow card. Okay, fine. He took part of the blame with him, but I mean that was a little bit harsher for me. Longley's one, okay, but honestly, I think a lot of those yellow cards. Well, I think 2 of them at least should not have been. I mean, the one for Davis,
Davis's one was deserved. Davis could have even gotten something worse, but the first 2, I agree.
Yeah.
The referee was a bit. I don't know. It was a bit suspect as well, but.
So that already put our back line, what you might call, on tenterhooks, because it meant that you couldn't be free. You had to be a little bit, what you might call, it affected. There's something that goes in your head when you have 3 people on yellow cards. So again, do you think it's the coach that thinks to herself, okay, do I take off one of them in order to sort of give that balance back, or leave it. I mean, leave it the way it is because I mean, if you think about it, okay, so we have 3 yellow cards, um, in I mean that back line, right? And then Bissouma also got a yellow card as well. So yeah,
Yes, he did, and he misses the next game against
against
Crystal
Palace.
Palace.
Yeah,
So good God help us in who's going to play in midfield. You know?
Skip hasn't played in such a long time. So I mean, where's he gonna get match fitness?
And Conte was talking about Skip the other day like it's someone he wants to get rid of. This was the same boy 2 seasons ago. He was praising. So
It's
it's
not
a
looking
wonder,
good
right?
at all. It's not looking good at all. Not a great start to the season. But
It's
hey,
it's not. I think for me, I've told everyone I've written off the season. I'm not saying that Spurs won't get anything, but I've written it off in terms of my expectation. Like Spurs would get anything this season, and I don't know what's going to happen. But I hope today's loss starts something. If it's not starting something on the pitch, starting something off it, whereby the pressure is on for Enoch and Daniel Levy to move on. Because after today, I think that is my solution. Is we've tried everything, literally tried everything under their paradigm. That's my view. It was under their paradigm because they've bought the coaches, but they didn't get the players. And
well,
so it's literally the only constant has been Daniel Levy and Enoch. Everyone else has been a revolving door. Players have left, players have come, coaches have left, coaches have come. Enoch is the only thing that stayed, and all the other clubs that I've been with are all the other clubs that are leading at the moment. They all have owners that joined after Enoch, so it tells you a lot. Getting fresh owners helps. I want a fresh owner if possible.
honestly, where do we go from here? Even Conte is saying that the fans deserve better. I think that's a little bit of a dig at the board. And I think to yourself, okay, fine, but you are the manager. You're paid what, 60 million pounds?
You know what he did in his statement? He
Yeah.
made a statement that I've heard someone say before. Someone said that if the best your child can do is a C, celebrate the C. And coming from the Nigerian background, it's like an insult. How can your son or daughter come out with a C? That you're going for the A. But Conte's just made a if the best Spurs can be is fourth, fifth, or sixth. He's just come out to he's killed the board tonight. And that's either a statement of let me walk away, sack me, or back me. So
All right. So, well, waiting to
see what happens.
how things pan out in the next few days. We've got Palace away. Are they coming home? Are they coming towards? I think we're away to Palace.
No, no, we're going there. We're going there. Palace away, and then Arsenal at home.
Yeah.
After Portsmouth, I think we play Portsmouth in the cup.
In the cup, right? So yeah,
we play Portsmouth in the cup after.
Palace away first. Is it no? Is it Palace away first on Wednesday, and then on Saturday we have Portsmouth at home.
We have Portsmouth.
Yeah, and then the following week we
Yeah.
have Arsenal come over.
Yeah.
In the league kickoff. So yeah, so that's interesting. So we have quite a few interesting matches lined up. So we'll see how that pans out. I mean, it's been a really tough day for us at the office. It's been not fantastic, but listen, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Where does Tottenham go from here?
You can only hope for the best. I like I said, I've expounded all my negativity. I've just like pushed it out. Like I said, today was really interesting for the Common You Spurs Nation family out there. Was none of my Arsenal or Chelsea family have insulted me today. They so believe we're beneath them now. They can't be bothered. They expected us to lose to Unai Emery, who by the way has a fantastic record against Spurs. He's never lost to Spurs, Unai Emery. We never took that into account as well. The guy knows how to play Spurs and win. So they couldn't be bothered because to them we're finished. We're just and I looked at it and I said, wow, that's even worse than them bantering me. Was the fact that they didn't even contact me to banter me tells me where we are as a club and as a fan base. And I think the players will take a very good look at themselves. Conte himself has to take a look at himself, because the board, we've had them forever. We don't know when they're leaving. But Conte and the board, Conte and the players have to look at themselves. At least get a result. That was in your power, but you couldn't for whatever reason. So.
Oh God. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, we're looking forward to the match. Well, should I say we're looking forward to it or not looking forward to the match? Wait to
And you're playing yet another ex-Arsenal
yeah.
person
I
in
mean,
Patrick Vieira,
exactly. So
who is very keen on beating us. It's yeah. I think maybe you take some step backwards to move forward, and if these are a step backwards, we have to swallow it. We just have to take the medicine. We have to eat the breakfast.
anyway, thank you very much for joining us today.
No
Uh,
problem.
it's not a bad way to start, not a great way to start the year, but hey. But having
Hey.
said that, though, having said that, I mean, you were always, I mean, I'm the eternal optimist, like you said, like you always call me, right? We've had many bad, or well, been many situations in the past when people have had very bad starts to the year, and they turn things around by the end of the year, and people look at it and say, "Oh, how did that team turn around from um, looking so bad at the beginning of the year, and look at them now? I mean, they're top of the league or challenging for the title. Is there a chance that that could happen to us towards the end of the season? I mean, if
I always cast my mind back to Liverpool 20 points. Was it Liverpool 20 points last season or the season before? It
yeah,
was last season, right?
yeah,
Liverpool came back from 20 points. And Liverpool have an elite manager and he tweaked a few things. It's possible. It's not impossible, it's not impossible, but it's just, you just have to take it game by game. And, the players as well. I know the players will be very disappointed themselves. They didn't put up a fight today. So let's see what the reaction will be. But we've been waiting for this reaction virtually all season.
yeah.
And we haven't gotten this
Yeah.
great turnaround reaction that we wanted. And we've just been
Um,
slowly slipping down.
yeah. So I mean, I think what we're looking at is I don't know. We if we I think the way things are now, in order not to in order to sort of appease the fans, if you like, um, ENIC have to pull their finger out. They have to do something because otherwise, because the situation becomes untenable. If the squad is crying out for improvements, I mean, it's obvious for everyone to see, and so Conte has some blame to pay. I mean, some blame in it as well, but overall, everyone has a bit of the players, the board, Conte himself as man.
Yep,
So
that's fair.
there's blame everywhere. So, and I think everyone has sort of this is a time for everyone to sort of group together and sort of look. We need to get this going, but no one can do this alone. Even if Conte works tomorrow, the problem doesn't disappear. If anything at
It
all,
doesn't.
it just
Yeah,
compounds the issue. So
yeah,
I
it
don't think
does.
he walking away is not even a solution. So unless we get, I mean, Qatari investors or foreign investors who are prepared to sugar daddy, who's prepared to put in money and not even think about it.
That's all I hope for now. Literally like I have no expectations for the season from here on in. I'm just going to enjoy every game if I can. And but my expectation now is I just want the club to be taken over. I'm now fully in the camp of somebody should come and buy Spurs and take the club over and just yeah, I'm just done with the current hierarchy because it's them. They're the only constant. And like I say, Conte has his own side of the blame to take as well, but it's nothing compared to the ownership. And his hands were tied in terms of the substitute. I've seen a lot of people writing, look at the substitute: goalkeeper, centre back, centre back, centre back, centre back, left back. It's like, what could he bring on?
Uh, isn't it funny how we have a way of sort of slating players who play for us and they go away elsewhere and they go and start to perform like top performers. Just come up the report now that Aurier has scored against Chelsea. I mean, come on. I know it's just a goal. It's one match, but hey, I mean, Aurier was like what am I call the pantomime villain for at Tottenham, wasn't he?
He was. His place has been taken over by Emerson, who, by all reports, there was supposedly a scuffle in training, and he had a back and forth with one of Conte's coaches, and that's his death knell from what they say. Don't know how true that is, but
But he played today,
yeah,
though.
they say that's
You know, thought like he wouldn't even be
yeah,
on
yeah. He came on because the guy had to substitute somebody. So, but it's you really just have to laugh as a Spurs fan. You have to find humor in everything, somewhere, somehow. You
Otherwise,
have to find the
yeah,
humor.
I don't have any hair to lose. Hey, so anyway, it's been fantastic having you. I mean, we're looking forward to
Thank you.
Wednesday. Join us on the aftermath. Hopefully, we'll have something better, something to smile at after that match. But hey, we look forward in hope rather than in trepidation. Yes.
Yes, indeed.
And thank you so much. It's lovely having you.
Thank you.
Take good care.
Great. It's
Have
been
a
great being here.
bye now.